The story begins with the protagonist opening the door and finding his girlfriend with a spoiled, rich kid. She says that now that he has discovered everything, she's going to break up with him. And then she starts screaming, saying that he's poor and that he shouldn't have chosen her as his girlfriend. Then she throws him out and continues with the other guy. The protagonist arrives home crying, and when he least expects it, he receives a notification on his cell phone. This cuckold keeps thinking that it is his girlfriend who is regretting and sending him a message. But no, actually it's a WhatsApp notification asking if he wants to update. So he clicks on the button and updates his application. Sometime later he's in a group full of crazy people. Some of them have names like Lord of Thunder, Mother of Lightning, Almighty God of Miracles, and other crazy names. He thinks they are just a bunch of weirdos and ends up not paying much attention to this group on WhatsApp. However, he receives a notification from the Goddess of Wealth. And when he touches it, an envelope opens, looking like he has earned a merit point. His cell phone starts ringing because of the countless messages that are arriving there. And he begins to find those people quite funny because of the message they are exchanging there. Then he receives a new notification, which is a friend request. The name of this person is Jade Bunny. And he wonders if this girl looks the same as in the photo because he thought she was very pretty. Then she asks him if he wants to spend 10 merit points to see a photo of her taking a bath. He already thinks that this is a trap. However, she sends this photo to him even without him paying. And Leo, who's our protagonist, ends up clicking on this photo and is shocked by what he sees. Then a friend of his appears there in the dormitory of the university saying that he has urgent news. The singer Lily, who is the most beautiful girl there at the university, is singing in the bar nearby. After his friend leaves, our protagonist receives a mysterious book. This book appears there out of nowhere. And he finds this a bit strange. Upon arriving at the bar, he finds Lily singing. She really is very beautiful. Leo's friends even mention that she is the most beautiful girl in the city. And even Leo, the protagonist, is enchanted. He can't resist. When Lily finishes singing, a bully approaches her saying that he will pay for a drink. He starts to be unpleasant with her, and the other guys there in the bar feel sorry because this bully, called Chase, won't leave her alone. And because of this, nobody does anything. They just keep watching. Our protagonist, however, realizes that she is in trouble, so he stands up. His friend even tries to stop him, saying that he won't be able to beat this bully. Meanwhile, Chase ends up breaking the strap of her dress, leaving part of her breasts exposed. Outraged by this situation, our protagonist throws his jacket over her so that she covers herself. Then he throws himself in front of the bully. Then Chase asks who this guy is. And at this moment, the protagonist ends up kicking his private parts, making him scream in pain. Leo then extends his hand to this beautiful girl, and the two flee from there as fast as they can. And the bullies start chasing them, wanting to kill them. Leo's friends end up pretending there that they have nothing to do with this. They don't know the protagonist. While fleeing, Leo asks the girl not to look back. Leo remembers that he read a book earlier that mentioned a power called celestial music, which was that book that appeared out of nowhere there in the dormitory. Then he turns to the bully, and when Chase is about to hit him with a machete, the protagonist lets out an extremely powerful scream that ends up launching the bullies far away, making them all fly through the air. The girl is surprised, and Leo picks her up and carries her as far away as possible from there. He puts her on the ground and says that now they are safe. And she thanks him. Leo keeps thinking about how beautiful she is, and she asks to be able to keep his jacket, since it is very late and it's very cold. Then she says that she will return it the next day, and Leo, as he is a simp, ends up agreeing. Then the girl kisses him on his face there and runs away embarrassed. Meanwhile, he stays there with his nose bleeding. The next morning his friend asks how the hell he managed to survive, since he was running away from Chase and his henchmen. When Leo arrives in the classroom, he ends up seeing Leaf, who is a spoiled rich kid, the one from the beginning of the story, along with his ex-girlfriend. They are there making out in the last row of the room. Then he ends up being a little upset with this, but he decides that he won't show his sadness because he doesn't want them to notice. Then the spoiled rich kid, Leaf, tells the girl that her boyfriend has just arrived. And she corrects him, saying that he's ex-boyfriend, because she doesn't like poor people like him, and she only likes rich people like the spoiled rich kid there. Then they start mocking the protagonist there. The rich kid thinks that Lily appeared there to look for him because she is looking all over the place, as if she really was looking for someone. Then he stands up, thinking that she is there because of him, because he is all conceited, because he thinks he is handsome, because he is rich. Then she passes right by him and goes to the protagonist's table. And all the other students there start gossiping about this. They seem not to believe that she is paying attention to a loser like the protagonist. Lily brought his jacket inside a bag and she says that she washed it. Then the protagonist smells her good smell there on his shirt. Then the other students start gossiping, saying that probably it was the protagonist who dumped Tiffany, and not the other way around, as she was spreading there to everyone in the school. And the rich kid gets angry and starts complaining. Then he asks the protagonist if he knows who this guy is there, and Leo says that he doesn't know this spoiled rich kid. Then Lily asks if she came back there just to return the jacket. And she says that actually there is another reason. Then with embarrassment biting her lips there, she asks if she can ask him a favor. And he, like a rascal as always, slaps his hand on the table there all excited, and says that he would do anything for her there. Then she says that she'll go straight to the point, and asks if he could teach her that scream that he gave yesterday, that made Chase fly away. Since she is a singer, she would like to learn this technique. Leo says that he will only teach her if she agrees to be his girlfriend. And she ends up accepting. Then it was very easy. He managed to date the most beautiful girl there at the university, just because he was going to teach her a music technique. And then she arranges to meet tonight in the music room to be able to train, and the boys in the room all start crying with envy. In the music room everyone there is training, while Leo is accepting the friend request there in the WhatsApp group. Then he continues exchanging messages with these crazy students from the group. This rich kid, along with the protagonist's ex-girlfriend, starts sucking up to a certain Hooks, who is the best musician there at the university. He shows to be a very jerk character. He keeps belittling everyone there. He thinks he's the best and everything. Then he ends up noticing that Lily has arrived and runs to suck up to her because she is very beautiful. The other students are gossiping about how Hooks and Lily make a beautiful couple. However, Lily quickly replies there to Hooks that they are not intimate enough for him to call her Lily. Then this Hooks says that if she agrees to be his girlfriend, he will make her win a singing contest because he is a friend of one of the judges. She refuses and says that she wants to win on her own and that her boyfriend will train her so that she can be champion. Then Hooks is outraged, saying that she has no boyfriend at all. Then she runs there to Leo and hugs him, saying that he is her boyfriend. And everyone there in the music room stops to watch that scene and starts commenting on it. The protagonist's ex-girlfriend there is dying of jealousy, while the rich kid there is envious. Leo realizes that this is a great opportunity and he is not going to waste it. Then he hugs the girl's waist there and responds confidently, saying that he is her boyfriend. Hooks, this musician there, starts creating a rivalry with the protagonist, and his ex-girlfriend says that Leo is just a poor guy from the countryside and that he doesn't understand anything about music. However, Lily tries to defend him, saying that the only thing the ex-girlfriend there knows how to do is try to belittle others and that she has no moral authority to say anything about anyone because she sells her body for money and that she should feel ashamed. Then the protagonist is all happy there, realizing that Lily is defending him. Then Hooks starts saying that Lily is a failure, that she would never win the contest because she didn't accept his help. Then Leo, with confidence, decides to defend her too and says that he is the lazy one and a failure because he heard that he had contact with the judges and that probably he won in the previous year not for his own merits. Then the protagonist realizes that that is the perfect moment to defend her because she was sad, and he argues that the real failure is the one who doesn't win with his own merits. Then, this Hooks proposes a challenge, a music competition between him and the protagonist. He says that he will never lose because he is the current champion, and the protagonist ends up accepting the challenge. The spoiled rich kid even proposes a bet, 100,000. He knows that the protagonist doesn't have that money to pay, and even so, Leo accepts there. Lily tries to convince him otherwise, but he says that he is confident and that if he wins, the other three of the warts will have to bark like dogs. Then they all agree and Hooks decides to present himself first. He starts singing and everyone there in the hall stops to listen to him. He seems to have a large legion of fans. Lily is afraid because she doesn't know if Leo is really able to beat him, but he transmits a confidence to her and she realizes that he is a mysterious guy and full of surprises. Hooks finishes his presentation there and everyone starts praising him, saying that he is incredible and he seems to be really good. Then it's the protagonist's turn to go on stage and start singing. Initially, some students there are insulting him, saying that they prefer Hooks, but when he starts singing they all melt. The magic of the music starts to enchant everyone and they realize that this music is made especially for Lily, and she gets emotional, and the students there also get all emotional and they feel touched by his music and they even start crying. At the end of the music, everyone starts shouting Leo's name, saying that they love him, and thus he ends up winning the dispute. Hooks realizes that he lost, so he takes a card there and throws it to the protagonist. He says that this card contains 100 and 100,000 and reveals the password there to the protagonist. Lily feels relieved and the protagonist celebrates smelling the card there that is full of money, and before they leave, Leo remembers the agreement. They needed to bark like dogs. The protagonist asks if Hooks will break the promise, and everyone there was listening to that, and they start asking them to comply. They start shouting bark bark. Hooks orders there and the two end up barking, which makes the whole audience laugh at them, but Hooks tries to leave without barking and the protagonist questions him if he's a coward, if he won't comply with the agreement. Hooks replies that he won't bark and that he will make the protagonist pay for this. All the girls present there express their love for Leo, recognizing him as someone incredible. Now they are his fan and not Hooks. Then the protagonist sits at a piano and starts playing a song there for them. When they are leaving, Leo and Lily walk hand in hand. She comments that the moment was incredible and thanks him. However, soon her expression there gets sad and the protagonist realizes that something happened. He holds her hands and looks deeply into her eyes, asking if there is something wrong. Lily says that everything is fine and the protagonist insists, saying that if everything was really fine she wouldn't be working in a bar. Then her phone rings and her mother answers that she's already on her way, and the protagonist asks where she is going. She replies that she is running to the hospital and the protagonist decides to go with her. Upon arriving there, Lily's mother is talking to the doctor, who informs her that she owes a very high amount to the hospital and that if they don't pay today they will be expelled from there. Lily arrives running there asking her mother what is happening, and her mother reveals that if they don't pay the debt they will be expelled and her father runs a serious risk of death. However, when the doctor realizes that the woman's daughter is very beautiful, he starts hitting on Lily there, but Leo soon appears and throws the card there in the doctor's face. The protagonist affirms that there is 100,000 there in that card and reveals the password to the doctor. Leo suggests that the doctor used this money to be able to pay for the treatment. The doctor, realizing that Leo possesses a lot of money, he thinks that it is not a good idea to upset an influential person like him. Little does he know that Leo is a poor guy, right? Then the doctor says that the money will only cover 1 month there of expenses. Lily argues that that money is his, that he doesn't need to spend it on her, and he replies that everything is fine since she is his girlfriend. Lily's mother asks who the guy is, leaving her embarrassed, and she replies that he is just a classmate, and Leo introduces himself there to her mother. Then the girl thanks him for what he did and says that she will repay the payment, and Leo says that she doesn't need to. The protagonist is wondering why she didn't say that they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and upon leaving the hospital he stares at her. When he sees it, she turns quickly and hugs him, thanking him. She tells that her father suffered an accident on the day that she was going to perform in the contest. He had an accident on the way to the location, and as he always supported her in her music career, this year's contest was very important to her. Unfortunately, her father was in a vegetative state. He could no longer wake up, and the protagonist says that she doesn't need to worry because he'll find some way to be able to help her father. At that moment she holds his hand and gives him a kiss. At that instant that bully from the beginning of the story Chase appears, and the protagonist tries to disguise. The bully's friends end up alerting him that that boy there is the one who stirred up the confusion there at the party. Then the protagonist, along with his girlfriend there, tries to sneak away, but Chase approaches and looks for trouble. However, he realizes that the protagonist gave that very strong scream pushing him away, so he's afraid of the protagonist. Leo realizes everything that is happening there and tries to calm the spirits, and the bully then realizes that this is a great opportunity for him to avoid the fight with the protagonist because he knows that he will be beaten again. So before leaving, Chase asks where the university is, and the protagonist points the way there without knowing. Chase mentions that he needs to go to that university to give a beating to a student called Leo. Leo and Lily realize there that Hooks called these bullies there to be able to beat him. Then Lily gets worried and the protagonist asks if she's worried about him. She says yes, and he ends up saying that she doesn't need to worry and that he will also find some way to help her father, and asks her not to worry about that. Then he accompanies her kid to the dormitory and they say goodbye there at the entrance. Then he takes his cell phone and starts reading the messages from those members of that group on WhatsApp. He decides to ask if anyone there knows any way to save a patient in a vegetative state. The members there of the group, they don't understand this and start suggesting a gardener, a biologist, or a plant specialist. They don't know what in a vegetative state means. At that moment Jade, that bunny who sent the request and sent that photo to him, appears in hologram for him on his cell phone. She asks if he would like immortality pills. Then the protagonist asks if this cures people in a vegetative state and she replies that it doesn't, but soon after she explains that she doesn't know what vegetative state is, but she mentions that she knows a medical assistant who can create pills that help return the soul of the body to a person, that maybe that could be useful, and the protagonist realizes that this bunny will be very useful. He asks then if there's any pill that makes a person stronger in a short time, because he is afraid that Chase will come back there with his henchmen and want to fight him. Jade replies that there isn't, because the pills made by the Golden Flower Boy only work on mere mortals. Then he explains that that is the pill that he needs since he is immortal. Then Jade, this bunny, gives him the pill and says that it costs 10 merit points. The protagonist replies that he doesn't have those points. Then she reduces the price. She charges only 5 and he says that he doesn't have those either. Then the bunny starts crying. At that moment the protagonist sees a dog with a carrot in its mouth and he asks if she can take a carrot instead of that. Then she gets confused and asks what the hell is a carrot. Then the protagonist cleverly explains that the carrot is much better than these immortality pills. It is better than anything else that she has to offer, and she gets very excited. He asks then how he does to be able to send this carrot to her, and she replies that he just needs to scan it with his cell phone. Then he enters a tremendous fight there with the dog to get this carrot. Then he ends up scanning it there with his cell phone and the carrot disappears and is sent directly to the bunny. She thanks him and says that she will remember him, and then the protagonist starts running away from the dog that runs after him. Then he starts reflecting on whether he's a bad person since he lied there to the bunny. When he finally managed to escape there from the dog, he checks the pill. The pill promises to grant great powers to whoever ingests it, but this pill starts to grow rapidly, becoming huge, and at that moment the bullies there appear and say that he was deceived by him. Chase returned to confront the protagonist, mentioning that his ex-girlfriend Tina showed the photo on the cell phone and he ended up recognizing it and saw that the protagonist was the Leo that he was looking for. The protagonist stays hidden there behind the tree and starts eating the pill quickly to be able to gain the powers, and when one of Chase's henchmen is about to hit him with a baseball bat, the protagonist finishes eating the pill and his powers are activated and he makes Chase's henchmen there be thrown far away. After defeating the bullies, the protagonist realizes that the pill had a great effect, making him very powerful. Then he continues to defeat the other henchmen there of Chase. Then this bully, the leader, ends up giving in and asks to be a student of the protagonist. They start then arguing, and that spoiled little boy orders Chase to attack the protagonist anyway, but the protagonist is the one who ends up ordering, and chased away makes them bark like a dog again. Then the spoiled rich kid says that he has nothing to do with this and that nothing would have happened if it weren't for Tina and Hooks, that they are the culprits. Then the protagonist tells the rich kid to take a message to Hooks asking him not to do anything behind his back, that he should act like a real man, and then Chase starts sucking up to the protagonist asking to teach these blows that he just used. Then the protagonist ends up talking there about a training similar to that of Saitama from One Punch Man. Then this bully thanks him and ends up going away. The next day the protagonist's roommate wakes him up. The protagonist is dead tired there, so he can't even open his eyes properly. Then his friend says that the video like of him singing there in the music room went viral, and everyone is saying that now he is the king of music and that Lily is a singer who ended up getting a boyfriend. So she also becomes famous too. They comment badly about Hooks, the spoiled rich kid, and Tina, who is his ex-girlfriend, saying that their reputation is ruined, that they are people of a very bad character. Then the protagonist realizes that he became famous overnight and even starts to feel ashamed to leave the house. However, at that moment his girlfriend calls him saying that he became famous and that she is going to introduce him to her mother at a dinner tonight. Then they arrange a time. The protagonist is all happy since these last 3 days have been wonderful. Then arriving there at Lily's house for dinner, mother-in-law welcomes him. He enters there and realizes that her house is very simple. Then he asks who is taking care of her father in the hospital, since she and her mother are there in the house, and she replies that it is her sister who is taking care of her father. Then the protagonist looks there at the bookcase and sees a photo frame of her family. Lily's mother serves dinner and the protagonist says that it is delicious. She thanks him and mentions that she would have liked to have taken him to a more sophisticated restaurant, but that she didn't take him because they didn't have money for that. But the protagonist Leo says that this is not necessary because he much prefers homemade food. Then he starts eating quickly there until he chokes, and they laugh and tell him to eat calmly since that was not a competition. After dinner the girl's mother says that she needs to go to the hospital and ask Leo to keep her daughter company. Then they stay there alone awkwardly, not knowing what to say. The girl suggests that they sit on the sofa and that she will get some water, but both remain there embarrassed, not knowing what to say. While Lily goes to get fruits, the protagonist receives a message from Wong there on his WhatsApp, who's another divinity of this group. They're talking about a new pill called Divine Eyes and sends a book to the protagonist with this power. Then he ends up clicking and acquires the power Divine Eyes at level 1. Then when he looks at Lily returning with the fruits, his power is activated and he manages to see through her clothes. I bet most of you would like to have a power like this here, right, you rascals? Then he gets nervous and ends up spitting out the water that he was drinking, and while she stays there stop trying to understand all this that is happening, the protagonist scratches his eyes and his divine power is deactivated. Then he tries to give an excuse there saying that he choked on the water. Then he understands what this power Divine Eyes can do and he finds this power really incredible. When Lily's about to sit down, the protagonist holds her hand and pulls her close to his body and they kiss for a few seconds, but the protagonist ends up getting too excited and ends up touching an area that he shouldn't. Then she pushes him away, telling him not to do that in her house. Leo gets all embarrassed, apologizing, saying that he couldn't hold himself back, but Lily there starts laughing, saying that he's a silly and says that it's okay, that she was just surprised because the last time they kissed they were interrupted there by Chase. Then she asks him to stay calm and relax. He gives an awkward laugh and says that she really is adorable. Then Lily remembers that her father is there in the hospital, hospitalized in serious condition, and ends up getting sad. She says that she can't just keep thinking about her relationship while her father is hospitalized in critical condition. At that moment Leo has an idea. He says there that he knows someone who can help, and Lily there ends up getting a little happier. Then he takes his cell phone and sends a message in that WhatsApp group where there are several divine beings. He asks if anyone there knows of any pill that can bring the person's soul back to the body. Someone replies that they know. Then he gets excited to know that someone can help Lily's father, but the guy there in the group says that this pill only works with the mortal beings, and the protagonist ends up getting embarrassed because he just said that he knows someone who can help her father. Then Lily asks what the problem is, why he has that discouraged expression. Then the protagonist ends up explaining that it will take a while for him to be able to help her father because it is something complicated to solve. She gets sad but said that it's okay, that she trusts him, and he said that his heart hurts to see her with that sad face and that he will not give up until he finds a way to help her father. He then sends a message to another divinity asking if he knows of any pill that can resurrect the soul of immortals. The divinity replies that yes, but it costs 10,000 merit points. The protagonist doesn't believe that the value is so high. Then at the end of the night they say goodbye and he promises that he will find a way to cure her father. Lying there in his bed he continues the conversation with these divinities there in the group, and he meets one called Tang who says that he can help him. He asks why the protagonist needs an immortality pill. Then he disguises that it is just out of curiosity. The divinity mentions that speaking of immortals he would like to return to the world of mortals since it has been 3,000 years since the last time he came here. The protagonist got a little discouraged because the value of this pill was really very high and he wouldn't be able to pay. However, he receives a gift that is a heart-cleansing pill. This pill serves to erase the evil thoughts from the heart, but it only works with immortals. Then he asks Tang how much this pill costs. The divinity replies that it costs more or less 1,000 merit points. Then the protagonist decides that he will sell it to raise money to help Lily's father. He wonders who will buy a pill like this. Then he gets a little discouraged because he thinks that he won't be able to fulfill his promise, his little face. However, soon after the god of music makes an offer. He offers 300 Zuzian merit points, but the protagonist doesn't accept because he knows that the value is much more. Then this divinity of music ends up increasing his proposal to 500 and the protagonist makes a face there that he will not accept such a low value. Then the god of music offers 600 and says that he will play a song for free for him, but the protagonist already knows how to play several instruments and sings very well, so this has no value for him. Then the god of music says that he only has 600 Zuzian merit points and asks if he can pay the rest in some other way. Then he ends up offering a painting by a legendary Chinese painter. The next day the protagonist asks if his girlfriend wants to go out with him and says that he will wait for her there at the university gate. When she arrives she asks where they're going and he says that it is something good. Then he calls a taxi and says that she will see when they get there. Upon entering the taxi the driver asks if this beautiful girl is his girlfriend and he replies that yes. The driver asks if they are going to the Hall of Eternity and he says that it will only take a few seconds to get there. When they arrive they see that the store is gigantic and the salesman already starts judging the protagonist, saying that he's a hick and that the girl there next to him who is Lily is even pretty. Leo says that he wants to sell a painting and the salesman says to make it clear that they don't buy garbage. Lily finds this guy very rude and the protagonist gets a very serious look. Leo said that it is a painting by Tang Bo Hu, a legendary Chinese painter. Then the salesman says that he is kidding since there is no painting by this legendary painter for sale on the market and that original pieces are extremely rare and that they don't buy replicas. Then the protagonist could leave there. Leo says that the salesman is a stupid man and calls his girlfriend to leave since other people would like to buy an original painting of this legendary painter. At that moment the owner of the store there appears and asks if this painting is really original. Leo says yes and the salesman interrupts saying that it is just a replica. The owner of the store says that he shouldn't try to deceive others and Leo says that this really is an original piece. If he really thinks that it is a replica then he should go to another store since this store here doesn't have the reputation it deserves and that the real deceivers are them. At that moment we see that the protagonist is very changed. He's no longer that fool from the beginning of the story. He's already becoming a very bad guy. Then the salesman asks him to show the painting. Then he opens the box there and unrolls the scroll with the painting on the table. The salesman gets nervous and slams his hand on the table saying that that is not even a replica, that is truly a fraud and that he should call the police on the protagonist. The owner of the store says that he has been in this business for decades and has never heard of that painting and the protagonist is embarrassed along with his girlfriend Lily. He still continues speaking loudly cursing the protagonist there and this ends up attracting the attention of everyone there on the street and his ex-girlfriend and along with that spoiled little boy Hooks. We're passing by and decide to provoke the protagonist. They say that a poor guy like him would never have something valuable, that it could only be something fake and the protagonist wonders why they don't leave him alone. The owner of the store realizes that Hooks entered there and starts treating him very well since he is rich. Then he ends up saying hi to Lily and Lily rudely replies that she doesn't know him. Then she has to be able to leave because she doesn't like these boys and the protagonist says that it's okay but this stuck-up guy doesn't let them leave and asks to see what valuable thing he has there to sell. Several people on the street start entering the store to see what is happening since there's a shouting match. They comment that there is a charlatan there trying to sell a forged work and that he must get into trouble because of that. Others say that a charlatan is trying to sell a painting by the legendary Tang Bohu and that it is probably not original. Then Tina along with her boyfriend is trying to humiliate him saying that he is a fraud and that he needs to admit soon that he is trying to deceive everyone. Then Leo gets apprehensive realizing that everyone there is trying to make fun of him but he says that he won't let that happen. Then he ends up saying there to everyone that he will show the work but what would they do if this work was really original? Then the stuck-up guy when he hears this he starts to laugh and everyone who was outside starts to laugh too very loudly. Then the protagonist asks again what if it is original? Then Hooks says that if it is original he will change his surname to the surname of the protagonist's family. He says this in the form of mockery because he is wanting to humiliate the protagonist but the protagonist comes out very well because he says that he would not like to have a son like him. Then Hooks nervous says that if the work is really original he will buy any piece there from the store for him. He can choose any piece that he will buy. Leo finds his proposal interesting but he says that he still has another condition since on that day in the music competition he managed to get away and didn't bark. Now Hooks would have to fulfill his promise because if he defaulted again it would be very embarrassing. Then the protagonist asks if he would have the courage to bark. Hooks says that it's okay but if it is fake he will have to stop dating Lily and will have to leave the store crawling on the floor. The protagonist accepts the agreement. Then he puts the scroll there on top of the table and everyone gets apprehensive wanting to see what is inside there. Then he opens the scroll and is a work let's say hot right? Everyone there is shocked and then they start laughing. Lily gives Leo a pinch there and says that that really is embarrassing. The protagonist wonders why this divinity would lie to him. That never a divinity would give a forged work so he isn't out there whether it is really original or not. Then he turns there to the audience and asks if anyone there could authenticate this painting. Then they start discussing whether there is anyone there up to this mission. A man appears saying that he can try. This gentleman says that he has already authenticated several original works by Tang Bohu. The protagonist asks if his name is called Mr. Hang. His assistant says that he is the vice president of the Chinese Association of Paintings and Calligraphy. He has already authenticated 3 original works by this legendary painter. Several people in the audience begin to comment that he is the ideal person to discover if this work is original or not and that he is the best in the country. The salesman of the store there says that this work is not original, that it's a fraud, and Hooks demonstrates a certain admiration for the assistant there, Mr. Hang. He must also be someone very important that we will see later, so stay tuned. Hooks ends up saying there to Mr. Hang for him not to waste time with the poor charlatan like him, that this painting there is a fraud, that he has never heard of an erotic painting made by Tang Bohu. Then the expert gentleman calmly says that he will check if this work is original or not, and if by chance someone doubts his competence, and everyone replies that they don't. Then he approaches the painting there, and with his glasses he starts analyzing. Everyone is silent and apprehensive. After long minutes, people start calling the protagonist fraudulent. Hook starts singing a victory before the hour, saying that the protagonist will have to leave there like a little dog crawling on the floor, and the protagonist is questioning there if the god of music would have delivered him the fake painting. Then the expert asks how he got this painting, and the protagonist says that it was a gift from a friend of his. That gentleman said that his friend is very generous and asked the protagonist what price he wants on that work, that he can say the price that he wants, that he will pay. Everyone who is laughing there, now they're silent and they don't believe what they just heard. The gentleman tells him to go ahead and say the price soon. Tina says that that old man must be conspiring together with Leo and that the two must be a fraud. Then the spoiled rich kid interrupts her, putting his hand there on her mouth for her not to say anything else because he knows that she'll make him pass even more embarrassment. Leo says that since he liked it and helped to authenticate this work, he'll give a discount. He'll charge only 10 million. The crowd begins to think that he's crazy to put such a high price. Then they say that this is too much money for him to stop playing with that gentleman, but the expert starts laughing and says that another work by this author was sold a few years ago for 11.5 million. So really he was giving a discount there for him. The specialist assistant asks the protagonist for the bank account because he will transfer the money right now, and the protagonist is thinking there that he should have asked for more, right, that he asked for little. Then he looks there at his cell phone and is extremely happy because he is rich. His money had fallen into the account. His interested ex-girlfriend comes running back there saying that she loves Leo, however Lily and Leo himself say no, and she gets sad there in the corner. Hooks then calls his friends to go away, but Leo says that he has to wait and that he will not run away again this time. He replies that he was not trying to run away and that the protagonist can choose there anything that he will pay as he had said. Then the protagonist starts choosing some things, and the stuck-up guy there is thinking that it would be good if the protagonist did not choose anything expensive. Then the protagonist asks there to the owner of the store how much that painting costs, and the gentleman replies that it costs 100 to 100,000. Hooks in the back is listening to everything. Then the protagonist decides to take something even more expensive, so the guy there gets furious while Lily is laughing. Then he chooses a painting of 1 million. Adding up all the money that he has already earned, it gives 11 million. He becomes a millionaire. Then he asks there to Lily if he really is not too much, and she says in a cute way that yes. Then he asks a naughty question there to her if she would not like to see something even more incredible that he has. Then she gets embarrassed and says that there are many people there nearby. Hook starts to go away saying that the protagonist should not get cocky and that next time he will not let it go cheap, but Leo calls him and says that there is something that he has not done yet, which is to imitate a dog. He starts complaining saying that he will not do that. However, that assistant of the specialist says that he must comply with his word. Then he is left without exit and ends up imitating a dog. Soon after he gets furious and orders there that his friends also imitate a dog, and they also imitate, and all that crowd there starts laughing at them. When the protagonist leaves the store there together with his girlfriend, everyone who was there around starts commenting about them. Lily asks her boyfriend if that painting that he sold is really original, and also asks if it was a gift from a friend of his. He replies that no, that he just found that painting. Then he calls Lily to train singing, but before he would need to pass there in his dormitory to store this painting. When he arrives in the singing room there, all the students there run to find him. He had just gained a legion of fans, however Lily is left aside and she stays there in the corner watching everything. Already on the other day early, he wakes up to check his WhatsApp. He realizes that he did not receive that red envelope that he had received every day in the form of a gift. Then he wonders if the divine beings do not wake up early to see the WhatsApp. Soon after, he receives a message from the bunny saying that she spoke with the boy of the golden flower about the patient and vegetative state, and that she ended up passing the contact to this boy. Soon after, this boy calls there to him and soon appears in hologram form. He asks if the protagonist needs pills that resurrect the soul of mortals. Then Leo says yes. Then the boy asks for what he needs it. Then Leo replies that it is none of his business and asks if he can really make these pills. The boy says yes, but has a condition. If the protagonist could give him a carrot, or at least half of a carrot, since Jade Bunny said that these carrots are as precious as the peaches of immortality. Then Leo starts laughing and says that he will give a whole carrot for him, and the boy thanks him. The boy also says that these immortality pills may be too strong for the mortal and that the chance of success is only 10%. Then the protagonist asks if the pill that resurrects the soul of immortals can serve for something, and the boy says that yes. That it can be diluted there in the preparation and that it can end up helping in the effectiveness. Then the protagonist accepts the agreement. Soon after, the protagonist realizes that he is a millionaire. His awareness had not yet hit him, and that the boy there of the golden flower withdrew all his 600 merit points because he said that he needed ancient eyes from the Dragon King to be able to dilute this pill. At this instant, the protagonist receives a call from his mother. She said that his sister does not want to go to school, and the protagonist, as he is close to his sister, he needs to go there to solve these problems. Then he asks if it was his Aunt Mary who ended up saying something to his sister. His mother does not reply. Then he decides that he will go there to fix his family. Later there in the classroom, he's thinking that he needs to buy new clothes, so he calls his girlfriend to go together, and they end up going to a big shopping mall. She asks what they came to do there, and he replies that they came to buy clothes, but she comments that the clothes there are expensive, and Leo says that she does not need to worry because now they are rich and he can pay for expensive clothes, and then he holds her hand and drags her. However, she does not get excited at all with this, and upon arriving there everything is luxurious and the people there seem to be very feudal, and this ends up leaving her even more uncomfortable. He says that soon there is a women's clothing store, so he calls her to go together. She says that he has already done a lot for her and that he does not need to buy expensive clothes. However, he does not listen and says that he can pay for that very beautiful dress, and she gets all shy in the corner saying that these things are too expensive. At this instant, the attendant there of the store mistreats them, saying that they are poor and that they cannot pay for expensive clothes. Lily, who is already feeling uncomfortable, she gets even more embarrassed and withdraws from the store, and the protagonist ends up running after her, asking what happened since she has been acting strange lately. Biting her lip, she says that she may even be beautiful, but she is poor and never dreamed of a life of wealth. She wants to conquer everything with her own work, and now that he is rich, people are feeling more attracted to him because of his money, and she hates that people look at her thinking that she is only with him because of the money. Then she starts crying, saying that she is not enough for him. Then Leo says that actually the two are the same because they are shy and cowardly and are facing difficult things. After having been betrayed, he thought that his life was over, but God gave him another chance when he met his girlfriend Lily. She made him confident, and that is why he was lucky to have met her. Now he wants to make her also confident and show the bad people who mistreated her that she is his girl, and then she gets surprised with what he just said. Then Leo holds her hand and pulls her, saying that he will not let anyone belittle her. Then he takes her back to that store. When he arrives there, the saleswoman thinks that the hick has returned. Then he starts pointing to all the clothes, saying that he wants her to pack them all. Then the woman gets without reaction and starts laughing. She asks if he is kidding since he is wearing a cheap shirt. She says that he has no money at all. Then Leo opens the application there of his bank and asks for the virtual assistant to say what his bank balance is, and his balance is more than 10 million. Then she gets surprised and he asks if that is enough. Then she says yes and apologizes for her foolishness, saying that she will pack all those products of the store right now, and she gets super happy because she will earn a very fat commission if she sells all the pieces there of the store. Lily gets worried, but the protagonist gives a wink there to his girlfriend as if to say to her to stay calm. After half an hour, the saleswoman says that she packed all the pieces there of the store and says that the bill gave 5 million and says that she gave a little discount for him. Then she asks if he will pay with credit card or in cash, and in a mocking way he does not answer. Then she has to ask again. Then Leo says that there is a cool store on the other side and that he will go there to take a look. She asks if he is kidding because he asked for her to pack all the clothes, and in a more mocking way still. He mentions that he asked indeed, but he never said that he would buy them all. And he says that she is an idiot because nobody would buy all the clothes from a store, and that he thinks that she is not up to this job, and then he calls his girlfriend and they go away to another store. Lily says that he went too far and that he should not have mocked her, and Leo says that it was too good for her to learn because she had belittled his girlfriend. Then he asks if she is feeling better, and she says that yes. The saleswoman of the store gets furious and she says that they will have to pay for this. Then she takes her cell phone and calls Chase for him to be able to go there to resolve this situation. Hours later, Leo and Lily are trying on several clothes and posing in front of the mirror with several different looks. Then even a romantic atmosphere starts to roll there between them. Leo says that there is a saying that says that clothes make the man. Then he asks how he is, and Lily says that he is great. Leo says that he also needs to buy clothes for his father and for his mother, and asks if she can help him, and she replies with a smile on her face that yes. Chase arrives and the saleswoman of the store is crying. He tells that Hooks asked him to beat Leo, but Leo ended up sending all his henchmen and Hooks his henchmen straight to the hospital, and only he escaped because he had managed to pretend there that he admired Leo and even asked him to be his master. Then the protagonist appears there in the corridor of the shopping mall, and the saleswoman points to him, saying that he is there the person with whom she wants him to take revenge. Then she starts celebrating, saying that the young man there will beg on his knees. Then Leo observes Chase there and asks what he is doing. The saleswoman gets surprised because she did not know that they already knew each other. Chase kneels and says that it is good to see his master there, and the saleswoman gets surprised with all that. She does not know what she thinks. Then the saleswoman says that he was the Leo that she wanted Chase to take revenge on. However, at this instant Chase pulls her by her blouse and makes her also kneel, calling her stupid for not having messed with his master. Leo asks what he is doing with this woman, and he explains that she is his ex-girlfriend. Then the protagonist asks if Chase knows of any place where he can buy a car because he bought a lot of clothes and food and now needs a car, and Chase says that he will take him there and ask him to enter in his van. Then they enter and go away, leaving the saleswoman there abandoned alone on the floor. Lily does not understand why Chase was afraid of Leo because she did not know that her boyfriend had given a beating on him and on his henchmen. Then the protagonist disguises, saying that he probably impressed him with his charm. He says there to his girlfriend to choose a car, but she does not understand much. Then the salesman appears and presents himself as Jack, and he starts offering several cars. He offers one of 900,000, but the protagonist does not like it. Then he offers one of 1.5 million, and Leo also does not like this car. Then the salesman asks what car he wants, but the protagonist says that he has no idea at all. Then an arrogant customer there appears and tells the salesman not to worry because he did not have much money. He was disrespecting Leo. He introduces himself as Mr. Lee, and he says that the salesman is very experienced, so he should already imagine this. That boy there did not have money to pay for a luxury car. The salesman there gets embarrassed and greets Mr. Lee, and Mr. Lee says that he came there to buy a car for his girlfriend and he's already choosing a very expensive car. Then he sees Lily there and finds her very beautiful and starts hitting on her, and she gets uncomfortable. The protagonist says that they are just normal people, but yes, he looks like a frog that eats swan, and the girl there, she's asking if the protagonist thinks that she looks like a swan and says that he's cute. Then this Mr. Lee complains, asking if he really looks like a frog, and his girlfriend corrects, saying that that is not what she meant. Then Leo finally finds a car that he likes and chooses, and the salesman says that this car costs 4 million. Then everyone there rolls their eyes, right? I'm even starting to think that the protagonist's money will end soon. Then he says that he will take this car as a gift for his girlfriend and the girlfriend of Mr. Lee. She said that she also wants one for her. Then he tells her to shut up and says that she's going too far. He leaves them the dealership in a supercar, and Leo and Lily are stylish there with the new clothes, the sunglasses. Then they leave accelerating there through the city, and when they arrive at the university, everyone there starts looking where they pass. They start noticing that supercar. Then they get off there the gleaming car, attracting the attention of everyone. And Leo says that now they are in the spotlights, and Lily says that he must be very enthusiastic. Now then, he says that he'll go to his hometown soon, tomorrow early, and he would like her to go together, and she replies that it is too early to meet his parents and that she cannot go, because tomorrow she will have to stay with her father in the hospital. Then the protagonist presses her against the car and asks if she will miss him, but she runs away because there are many people watching, and he is laughing. Inside the dormitory, everyone is admired because he is dating the most beautiful girl in the university. Then they ask, whose is that supercar? Then Leo explains that he won a very valuable painting and sold it. So now he's a millionaire, and that this car was a gift for his girlfriend, but she does not know how to drive, so the car ended up staying for him. His friend says that she is a lucky girl, and his other friends ask him not to forget them just because he became rich. Then Leo says that when he returns from the trip, he'll pay a dinner for all of them. The next morning, he goes to his parents' house. They're in another city in the countryside. In the middle of the way, he sees a boy signaling on the track. Then he stops, and the boy explains that the car broke. Then he asks if he could give them a ride to the city called Changnan. They say that they are in a hurry. Then the gentleman gets off the car and asks if he can give them a ride. Then the divine eyes of the protagonist are activated alone, and he manages to feel a strong power emanating from this gentleman. He soon realizes that it is not a normal person. That elderly there was not any elderly. Terms like bloody energy and inspiring energy arise in the head of the protagonist. The bloody energy means that the gentleman could have killed more than 1,000 people. But he was also involved in inspiring energy, which makes the protagonist feel that he is a giant near him. And then the protagonist mentions that he feels tiny near this gentleman. Then the protagonist offers there the ride, saying that it is a pleasure to travel with the oldest person and ask them to enter. The gentleman says that the protagonist is an interesting boy and thanks him. The boy who was together there with the gentleman asks if he needs to search the boy. The gentleman says that everything is fine, because he seemed to be a cool guy. Then they enter there in the car and follow the trip. The gentleman asks if it will not delay the protagonist, because he will have to take him in that city. But Leo says that no, because he was already going to that place even, and the gentleman is surprised with the coincidence. This elderly gentleman asks if the protagonist has heard of a man called Miles Lin, and he says that he hasn't. Then the gentleman asks his name, and the protagonist says his name. Then the gentleman says that he can call him Jia. Soon after they arrive at their destination, the gentleman gets off the car and gives a card to the protagonist, saying that he can call him if he needs to, and the protagonist realizes that there is nothing on that card, except for his name and the number. Soon after, the protagonist receives a notification there on his cell phone, and he realizes that he won 100 centenoid merit points just for having helped this gentleman. Then he decides that he will do more good things in the future. On the way to his parents' house, he witnesses a beating. Then he lowers the car window and asks them to stop. The boy approaches the car, and the protagonist calls him Uncle Gary. And at this moment that we begin to see more about the protagonist's family, you will see that most of the people there of his family is composed of jerks, and the protagonist will teach them a lesson, so follow along. He asks what his uncle is doing there in the middle of the street, and his uncle explains that that gentleman owed him 300 yen, and that he had refused to pay this debt. That's why he's being beaten. The gentleman there questions, saying that it was 200 yen and that he had already paid. Then his uncle Gary gives a kick on him, saying that the 300 are because of the interest. Leo believes that there must have been some mistake, and asks his uncle to stop hitting him there. The protagonist ends up resolving to pay in the name of the boy, and his uncle says that it's okay. Then he asks if his nephew there has any money, since his parents were owing to his other aunt, and how so, right? His son would have the money, but his father wouldn't, but the protagonist affirms that he has. Then he goes to the car and looks for the money. In addition, he offers cigarettes and they get happy, saying that they are of the good ones. Then he asks if Leo is rich now, since he has a beautiful car that costs more than 100,000. Little did they know that this car costs in the range of millions, right guys? Then the protagonist explains that the car is of a friend of his, and that he only borrowed and that the cigarettes are also of his. Then his uncle says that it makes sense. Then Leo says that he will take the boy away, and asks if his uncle doesn't mind. And he replies that no, since he had taken there the money that he was charging, right? The gentleman says that he cannot allow Leo to pay his debt, but Leo insists that everything is fine. Upon arriving near the car, the boy says that he cannot enter, because his clothes are dirty and not what will end up dirtying the car. But Leo reassures him, saying that there is no problem at all. Then Leo asks why he borrowed the money with his uncle, and the gentleman explains that his son wanted a new cell phone, and was missing 200 yen. That's why he had borrowed this money. Then Leo asks him not to do this again, because his uncle was a loan shark. Then the gentleman promises that he will not fall again into this trap, and says that he will never borrow money with him again. Then this gentleman mentions there that Leo has a supercar, and that he must be doing well in the big city. Then he wishes that his son is equal to him. Leo then replies that he borrowed the car, but the gentleman says not to try to deceive him, because that car was even better than that of his Aunt Mary. Then Leo leaves this gentleman in his house, and gives a little money, and says that it is for him to go to a medical clinic, because he is very hurt. The gentleman says that he is quite resistant, because he is a farmer, and that soon he will be better. But Leo then gives a little box to him, and tells him to accept. Then the gentleman accepts, and goes away. In the house of Leo's father, a discussion is occurring. His father tells his sister Mary that he only has $5,000, and that he will give the rest when he has this money. But Mary says that she lent $300,000, and that these $5,000 is only the interest. The protagonist's mother says that they need more time, because the university entrance exam of his daughter is arriving, and they need money to buy food for his daughter Amy. Aunt Mary says that this is not her problem, and they are only stalling to pay. Leo's father affirms that they are not stalling, and that he will pay when he has money. Then Aunt Mary humiliates the protagonist's family, saying that they would not get money even if they sold this tiny little house, and they all get sad there for being humiliated. At this moment, the protagonist shouts there from the outside, saying that he has returned, and his mother goes there to the outside to see, giving welcome. He appears in a radiant pose, and saying hi to his mother, hoping that she is impressed with his cool visual, and for her at least to praise him, saying that he is handsome. Leo had changed clothes before arriving home, because he was with those simpler clothes before. Then his mother asks if he has already eaten lunch, and he remembers that his mother always puts his health first, and his father also welcomes him, and he realizes how his parents have aged in only 2 months. They seemed much older. Then Leo says to his parents that from now on, they must let him take care of their problems, that he was going to take care of everything. Aunt Mary comments that he is the only one of the family who is doing college, and asks if he bought this clothes there at the fair, trying to humiliate the protagonist, as always. The protagonist, he says that he hasn't seen his aunt there for a long time, and that she seems to be much thinner. She thanks him, saying that he's cute, but when she sees the protagonist's car, she asks if that car is his, because it seems very stylish. Soon after, she already starts to disrespect, saying that the car brand does not work, that her car is much better, because it was of a Japanese brand, world-renowned, making it clear there for us that she does not understand anything about cars, right? Then the protagonist says that she understands a lot about cars, and that that car is not his, that it was a car borrowed from a friend. Then she alerts him to be careful, because if the car breaks down, he will not have money to fix it, and he thanks his aunt's advice. Then she returns to the subject of the debt, and tells his parents to pay, otherwise she will not leave from there. She wants guys, the $35,000, but Leo's father said that they only borrowed $30,000, and charging $5,000 of interest is exaggeration. But Aunt Mary, she gets furious, saying that the banks would be closed if it wasn't for the interest, and that she was too nice for lending money for the medical bills, and for the tuition fee of his niece Amy. Leo's mother rebuts saying that the interest is very high, and Leo's little sister Amy, she hears from behind and starts crying, saying that she will not go to school anymore, and that she will get a job to earn money and help with the bills there of the family. At this moment, the protagonist appears with a lot of money saying that there is $35,000 there, and asks for his aunt to count. She gets happy when she sees the money, and the protagonist's mother asks where he got this money, and he mentions that she doesn't need to know. Then his aunt counts there all the money, and soon after she goes away, the protagonist opens his arms and tells his little sister to come hug him. Then they hug each other, and he says that now everything is fine. Leo, he asks his father to call everyone there at the village for a big lunch that he will do on the next day, and he mentions that his father doesn't need to worry about the money. The father asks again if it is to invite all the village, because he there is a little scared, right, and the protagonist confirms. But he mentions, guys, that it is not to invite Aunt Mary and Uncle Gary, and not even their friends. Then he gives a card to his father, and tells his father to invite this gentleman. Then the party finally starts, and people start commenting that it must have cost a fortune. Some comment that he is only a college student, and question how he got this money to pay for this party. However, several people start to praise his parents, saying that their son there is very kind, and that he has a bright future. And the protagonist's parents stay all happy for them, guys. While that Aunt Mary inside her mansion, she discovers that there is a party rolling there, and she gets furious, because she was not called. She says that all there of Leo's family are ungrateful, because she had been nice with them, and they didn't reciprocate this favor. Then she says that she will call her brother, Gary, to teach them a lesson. While the protagonist checks the hours there on his cell phone, his father arrives to inform that the special guest had arrived. He was referring to that gentleman that Leo had given a ride. The protagonist thanks him for having come, and the gentleman replies that he is the one who should thank for having been invited, affirming guys that he would not miss a free lunch. This gentleman there is seeming to be me. I don't reject free food, and you guys do you reject free food even more? A banquet like this. Then he mentions that it had been a long time since he had eaten typical food of this country, and asks for the protagonist not to disappoint him. Then the wine is served there, which was made by the protagonist's parents, and then Leo goes to his father, and tells for him to serve the food, and the waiter starts serving all the tables, and the protagonist makes a toast there with the gentleman. The assistant there of this gentleman, he was going to say something about Mrs. Zoll, but the gentleman interrupts, saying that she doesn't need to discover that today he is in a good mood, and affirms that everything is fine. At this instant, Uncle Gary arrives, hitting the baseball bat there on the wall, scaring to do everyone. He asks for it, he was not invited, and starts to intimidate all the guests. He sits at a table and puts his feet on top, and asks for them to bring a drink for him. The protagonist's father says that it is good to see him, and that he will serve him a drink, but Uncle Gary, he ends up throwing this bottle away. Gary says that he understands that his nephew is doing well, but that now he is facing them there as strangers, and questions why his nephew invited the whole life, but not him and his sister. Then he says that he is being underestimated, and kicks the table, and declares that he will not let anyone there enjoy the lunch today. The protagonist's mother calls Mary, and she replies that Gary is not a child anymore, and that they were not invited for lunch, and alleges that she is now calling to solve the problems, being that they didn't think of them, that they were ungrateful and bad people. The gentleman asks Leo, who is that man, and Leo replies that he is a relative. The gentleman says that he is interrupting the lunch and causing a confusion, and that is why he needed a lesson. The protagonist says that he is already an adult, but the gentleman affirms that he was wrong, and that he will not let this go cheap. Then Gary hears that, and goes there to take satisfaction, calling that gentleman an old man. The gentleman asks if he really called him an old man, and Gary affirms that yes, saying for him not to take advantage of his age and his front, just because he was an elderly, and affirms that not even the police there of the region could deal with him. At this moment, the assistant of the gentleman gets up enraged, but the gentleman asks him to stay calm. Leo apologizes, and says that this was something unexpected, and affirms that he will deal with him. Then Gary gets irritated, and calls the gentleman there a presumptuous old man. Then he prepares to assault him with a baseball bat, but the assistant holds the bat, and he tries to pull, but does not succeed. At this instant, the police arrives and handcuffs Gary, and he starts screaming, desperate. One of the policemen says that he was looking for the gentleman, that elderly gentleman there. That seems to be someone important, and he replies that he was only having lunch. The people of the village that were there at the party comment that Gary is in trouble, because that gentleman was being treated with respectful form there by the Minister of Public Security, and even by the chief of the city. So this gentleman, he must be someone very important. Soon after, the people start celebrating the fact of Gary being arrested, and ask how Leo met that gentleman. While Gary was there on the floor, screaming desperate, his sister appears. Marion asks how Leo managed to arrest her brother, alleging that he did nothing wrong, and that everyone there are ungrateful, and that they would pay for this. Leo realizes that his aunt did not regret having humiliated his family there. Then he says that he will not let her get away with it. Then the protagonist says that he would like to report a tax evasion in the factory of his Aunt Mary. She continues trying to release her brother there, screaming with everyone. And the minister of the city says that that is an obstruction of the application of the law, and that she cannot grab an official like that. At this moment, that gentleman asks who that woman is, and Leo gets embarrassed and replies that that is also a relative of his. The gentleman replies that the relatives there of the protagonist are very bad people, because they ignore the police and this is an affront, and Leo says that he does not know what to say. Mary comments that nobody there of the village talks like that with her, questioning who this gentleman thinks he is, and tells him to go to hell. The chief of the police reprehends this lady, while taking her brother to the police station, and she follows behind, screaming desperate, cursing everyone, saying that the chief of the village is nothing near her, that she is not afraid of anyone, she is not afraid of the police, that they cannot arrest her brother, because he did nothing wrong. She is desperate there, guys, cursing everyone, very annoying this old woman there, right? Comment here for us, guys. Then the people there start commenting that she is disrespectful, and that she and her brother are in trouble. Then, at this moment, Leo says that his aunt and his uncle, they exploit this village for years, and that now they are being senseless in front of Mr. Hang. His aunt gets even more furious, saying that her nephew is an ungrateful, because yesterday, he pretended to be one thing, and today he appears to be another. Affirming that his family is composed of ungrateful people. Then his sister Amy says that his aunt never helped them, that it was Uncle James that lent the 300,000, and that she went there to charge and made a bigger scene in their house, and started charging 35 that were absurd interests. She defends herself, saying that it is correct to charge interest, and the protagonist's father said that it was not her that lent, but yes, his brother, and said that she scratched his face as soon as she discovered. She starts to victimize herself there, guys, saying that everyone's attacking her only because she is down, and that all they are accusing her of exploiting the village, but that nobody has any proof, so she will sue everyone for libel and defamation. At this instant, Leo takes an envelope and says that there are the proofs. He tells that yesterday he visited the house of several people in the village and gathered proofs against her, saying that Mary has mistreated these people for years. In addition, he collected their fingerprints, and the envelope contains these proofs against Mary and against her brother Gary. He affirms that he will deliver everything to the police, and that if there is no libel nor a defamation, they will have to go to jail. His aunt gets desperate and tries to take an envelope there in any way, but he manages to deliver to the government officials before she takes. Then she collapses on the floor, and the tables all tremble, making the people imagine that an earthquake is happening. Then she asks Leo to help his uncle, but he replies that his uncle deserved all that. Then she calls Tom and Jane, which is the protagonist's parents, to be able to help her, and they reply that they cannot do anything. Then she starts to get even more nervous, and everyone turns against her. Later during the night, Leo talks with Lily by video call. She asks when he returns, and he asks her if she is missing him, and she asks him to guess, and then asks if something interesting happened. He says that he met an incredible gentleman, and that thanks to him the bullies there of the village are finished, and she replies that this is something wonderful. On the next morning, the protagonist's sister goes to school, and they say goodbye. Inside the car, the protagonist says that life is wonderful, and that he is happy to see his family better, and now his cell phone then notifies, and he realizes that he lost the confidence of taking the red envelopes with the immortals. Then he remembers the conversation that he had yesterday with his father, when he asked if his leg had healed. His father replied that no, and that after the treatment he managed to at least walk, but sometimes he felt a very strong pain, and the doctor said that he could not cure this pain. Then the protagonist sends a message to another divinity, which is Mr. Lee. He asks if Mr. Lee can make a plaster, as he used to do before becoming an immortal. Mr. Lee asks how the protagonist knew that he made plasters before becoming an immortal, and the protagonist replies that he made a divination. The divinity praises the protagonist, and he asks for Mr. Lee to go straight to the point, and say if he can or cannot make the plaster, asking only the price. Mr. Lee says that he saved some plasters as a memory, and that he can arrange one for him if he wants. Then they start negotiating, and what the divinity there wants in exchange is that the protagonist says where is his son and his wife, since he is a diviner. He would like to know this information, and as the protagonist had lied, he gets into a bind there. Then he ends up giving it an excuse, and hangs up the cell phone. With the casts in hands, he returns their home, and tells his father to try this new treatment method. His mother said that it will not work, since he tried several things before. Then he puts the cast there on his father's leg, which starts to throb. Seconds later, the cast starts to take effect, and a very strong light illuminates there the whole room, leaving the protagonist's father's leg muscular. Leo and his mother are surprised with the result. Back to the city there, where the protagonist studies, Lily is at the bar with her friends. Hooks throws Chase on the floor, and tells him to stay away from his area, threatening to kill him. Then Hooks turns to Lily, since he is obsessed with her, and says that since she rejected him several times, he will no longer pretend to be a gentleman. Hooks says that as he cannot have her, nobody else will be able to, especially that loser. Then Chase remembers that he came to this bar together with Hooks, and ended up bumping into this girl, and despite Leo not being his friend, he had asked for Leo to be his master. But as Hooks' family is a very rich and powerful family, he cannot confront Hooks directly. Then the only thing that he could do was to send a text message to Leo, and warn him. Then Leo receives a message from Chase, saying that Lily is in danger. Then without thinking twice, Leo accelerates the car, and returns to the university city. Hooks presses Lily on the armchair, and says that it is no use resisting, because nobody will be able to save her. He mentions that the owner of the place is a friend of his father, and that he can bribe him. Then he starts to take advantage of her in a repugnant way. His friends ask if they can also take advantage. Then Chase tries to protect the girlfriend of his master, saying that Hooks can have the girl that he wants, that he even pays for it. Then Hooks asks for Chase to fall out and hits a bottle on his head, making the blood run down his face. With patience, Chase asks him to calm down, saying that it was not worth it, but Hooks hits again with a bottle there on his face, and threatens to kill if he does not leave. Chase gets furious, and says that he may even be a jerk, but that he does not do anything illegal, and that Lily is the girlfriend of his master, and he will not let anyone hurt her. Then Hooks and his friends start to beat Chase, giving several kicks on his head and on his stomach. Lily starts crying, calling for her boyfriend, and at this instant, the shadow appears through the doors there, in the back of the bar, and one of the aggressors, friend of Hooks, takes a punch so fast guys that he can barely see, and everyone there gets surprised. Leo had arrived in a triumphal way, causing fear in some, and relief in others. When Leo arrives and witnesses that scene, he gets furious, and one of the henchmen there of Hooks parts to go up against Leo, but the protagonist gives a kick in his face, making him fly away. And Hooks there, guys, he already gets trembling with fear, right, because he is a coward, he needs other people to be able to pass fear on someone. Lily notes that Chase is seriously injured, and she ends up asking there for Leo to take care of him, because she realizes that he is almost dead, and when Leo arrives there and approaches his friend Chase, he realizes that he is very hurt, he is really very bad guys, he got beaten up a lot. Chase comments that his master, Leo, that is how he calls him, right, should have taught that kick of fury, but soon after he faints. Leo puts Chase on his shoulders and calls his girlfriend to accompany him. The protagonist turns to Hooks, and with a furious look, he says for him to wait, that he will return to resolve that fight. On the way to the hospital, there is inside the car, Lily cries, saying that Hooks has gone crazy. She mentions that she does not know what would have happened if Chase had not appeared there to help her, and Leo expresses a certain gratitude for Chase, because before they were enemies, right, he even admits that Chase is a jerk, but that in the end, he is a fair guy, and promises that he will not forget this that he did. Already there at the hospital, the henchmen of Chase, those that were defeated by the protagonist in the previous chapter, they are there crying because of their leader. Leo gets extremely nervous, he even starts to tremble, thinking about what could have happened to his girlfriend if he had not arrived there on time, and his anger only increases. The doctor leaves the surgery room and informs that Chase has cerebral hemorrhage, and that he needs to be hospitalized in the ICU, and his situation is critical, and that they need to pray for him to be able to survive. The henchmen of Chase will continue crying there desperately, saying that Chase has always been nice, and that now he's being treated like a dog by Hooks. Some of them start to express the desire to take revenge, but Leo suddenly tells them to stop and stay there, that he himself will deal with this. And at this exact moment, Leo's cell phone rings, and it is Hooks mocking there, asking if Chase had already died. And this scoundrel keeps provoking the protagonist, saying that he can try to take revenge, and even marks a place for them to meet. He calls the protagonist to go to a construction site in the south of the city, and keeps challenging his courage. Hooks even says that if Leo had not arrived on time, Lily would have been all his. Leo gets furious, and replies that he will be there, and that he is not to be late. This guys will be one of the most satisfactory scenes that I have ever narrated here on the channel, so stay tuned, huh? Leo arrives there well before, and awaits for Hooks. He appears as a coward, right? He is accompanied by 30 henchmen. All of them are men from the Black Eagles gang, and they are powerful fighters. A muscular guy there arrives and says that he heard that Leo is a great fighter, and that he will end him before his cigarette touches the ground. Then, he throws his cigarette up in the air, and parts to go up against Leo with a baseball bat. And when he is about to hit Leo's face there with the bat, the protagonist moves faster, hits an elbow strike right in his chest. Then the cigarette falls on the ground, and we see that the protagonist ended him before the cigarette fell. Hooks already gets all scared there, trembling with fear, and orders that all the other henchmen attack together. Leo starts to hit, and to beat each one of them, leaving only Hooks there, stopped alone, without anyone to protect him. Then Leo approaches slowly. I am trembling with fear. Look there how I am trembling with fear, oh my God in heaven. While the coward starts to admit his error, and asks for forgiveness. Leo, furious, hits an extremely strong punch in his stomach, and this is one of those satisfactory scenes that makes you want to keep rereading. Hooks falls on the floor there, and starts saying that he is rich, and that he will order to kill the protagonist. Leo then steps on his arm, and starts to press, to mash, making him feel more and more pain, and he keeps screaming there, begging for care of him to stop. Leo even affirms that if something bad happens with Chase, he will kill Hooks. Already at the hospital, Chase stays between life and death, presenting there some alterations in his heartbeats. After the beating that Leo gave on Chase and his henchmen, he stops to eat a noodle there in a square. However, his cell phone starts to ring, and they inform that Chase is dying. Leo, he arrives running there at the hospital, and the guys there tell for him that it has already passed 1 hour of surgery, and they still did not obtain answers. That until early morning, Chase was still well, but that out of nowhere, he got worse. Then a nurse leaves the surgery room, and asks if there is any relative of the patient there that needs to sign some papers. Then Leo presents himself as a friend, and asks for her to save Chase. The woman says that they are doing the best possible, but that the patient there, Chase, he is in critical state. That it will be very difficult for him to return to life, that it is giving brain death. The doctor, he returns there from a meeting, and says that he learned about the clinical state of the patient, and he came as fast as possible. This doctor there, guys, he is one of the best of the country. Then the nurse explains to the friends that that is a specialist, and that the only chance to survive is with the surgery of this doctor, since he is one of the best. The friends of Chase start crying, asking for him to hold on tight. Then the surgery starts, and all make an effort to do the best possible. After long hours, the doctor leaves the surgery room, and Leo asks how Chase is. The doctor says that he is very sorry, and that they tried everything. The other guys start crying, asking if that was not a specialist doctor, the best of the country. Then the doctor explains, guys, that the blood vessels of Chase's brain ruptured, and that there is nothing more that he can do. Then he asks for the boys there to already prepare for the worst. But Leo, he does not accept that, and he says that he will save his bald friend.